absolutely no difficulty with the Secret Service men around me. We're working out beautifully as far as I'm personally concerned.
All right, I'd like to have your opinion of what's happening in this country. You know, we can date back to even George Lincoln Rockwell, John Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers. You can go right on through them. Bobby Kennedy, George Wallace. People are being shot down in public life. Do you have any observations on that?
This country is moving in the direction that Rome moved before it fell. There is a malaise in this country, a malaise that has to do with the fact that human life is not that important any longer. Humanitarianism, one's relationships and one's reaction to other human beings who might differ in political philosophy, ideology, or even religious beliefs, is not given serious consideration in terms of the fact that people have a right to dissent and people have a right to differ. I think also there is a kind of feeling in this country where many people have really become more and more upset as the war continues in Vietnam. And the reason I say that is because for many young men in this country, there's no future. They can't plan a future in terms of their own careers and their own lives. There's this unsettled state as to what is really going to happen to them in their future, because our country has been continuing in this war for 8 years. There's a discontent on the part of the American people who are paying in their tax dollars into the Treasury. And 70 cents out of every dollar is still going into defense or defense-related activities, and they can't get the expansion of hospital facilities, mental hygiene facilities, and the kinds of things that they work hard for and put their money in terms of their taxes and do not get it in return. There is a discontent and a malaise that is going on in this country that is going to destroy all of us.
I think it's very interesting that you liken this to Rome before Rome fell. Isn't it true that Caesar was assassinated by the people closest to him?
That's right.
Are you making that same same kind of an analogy?
I am.
Do you have any doubts in your mind about the conclusions of the Warren Commission report regarding the assassination of President Kennedy?
The more I think about the assassination of Kennedy, the Kennedy brothers, and the assassination of others, I just seem to have a feeling that there is a deliberate attempt in this country to have this country taken over by certain kinds of forces, and that's all I am going to say.
Well, let me ask you one question. Now, in the event that you were, in fact, nominated and elected as President of the United States, Mrs. Chisolm, would you ask for a complete investigation into the reopening of all these assassinations, including President Kennedy's?
Every one of them would have to be reopened, and every one of them would have to be really looked into much more deeply. No more cursory kinds of reports, and no more reports just on the part of government agencies alone, reports on the part of independent investigators who would collect the material objectively and in a substantive fashion. And I think it's very, very important.
You know, you're the first presidential candidate that has made a statement like that, and I admire you for doing so, Ms. Chisolm.
Well, this is the way I really feel about this.
And quickly, we have about a minute to go. How do you feel about amnesty to people who have decided to go to other countries rather than serve in what they consider to be an immoral war?
I feel that we should have total amnesty for every one of these young men after this war is over. We've been out there 8 years. We've lost 55,000 of them. It has nothing to do with the national security and the defense of this country. There's selfish self-interest that would like to see this war continued. I'm in Washington. I know much more than I have the time to tell you about on this program. Secondly, because we have to always deal with the question of morale. There are men who will be continuing to fight in this war. So what we need is to have a kind of conditioned amnesty for those persons to give some kind of alternative service to this country until the war is over, and then everybody would be released.
You've said, we have to say goodbye now. One final question. You've said that you still feel that Senator Edward Kennedy will be the eventual nominee of the Democrats. If in the event that he offered you the vice presidential running spot, would you accept it?
I admire Senator Edward Kennedy very much.
I will accept that answer. Our guest has been Representative Shirley Chisolm of Brooklyn, New York, who is running for the presidency of the United States. And it's been a great honor having you on the program, and good luck to you, Ms. Chisolm.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We'll be back with more of Tempo in just a moment after these announcements.